Hi, I'm Georgina, Client Services for BIA Kelsey. You know, the thing I love hearing most about Media Access Pro is the ease of use of the program. For this example today, I'm going to go ahead and do a search on all of the Washington, D.C. radio stations. I've got all of my categories turned on, so I'll see all sorts of different stations pop up in my results. Using my display pick list, I'll go ahead and choose the Washington, D.C. market, execute my search. A couple of pop-ups will tell me that there's some construction permits in the market and how do I want to see that information, as well as it's going to let me know that the market that I'm looking at is a PPM market and how do I want to see that information. Once I get to the results, it's going to show me the list of stations that it found, 85 stations out of the 24,000 plus records that I've got available in my database are my results, and I can look at everything on the screen nice in a spreadsheet-like view. The nice thing about this is I can look at everything at a glance, or I can take the information, export it out of Media Access Pro. I can even look at the detailed information for each station. If I click on the station, go to the Contacts tab, it gives me a really nice view of everything about the station at a glance. Owner information, who's operating and running the station, where it's located, technical information about a station. Everything's in a nice view for me. I can look at the ownership information for the station. I see here the historic revenues and the historic number of stations that the owner has owned, how many stations they currently own, and then I can look at the detailed information for that station. I can look at the historic revenues for that station. I can look at their 12 plus shares, coverage area population, lots and lots of information. Transaction information allows me to see who bought and sold the station and how much it was sold for. And then the market information allows me to just see general information about the market, population, revenue projections moving forward, demographic breakouts. Market number 2 gives me more detailed information about that market that I'm looking at. The competition tab gives me exactly that. It allows me to see what the competition's doing in that market. It looks like the station that I picked just happens to be the top in the market. And I can take a look at this information. I can export it. I can look at it in a graph-like view. So many things that you can do here. I'm going to pop over to the coverage maps. I've already built a map for us to take a look. The nice thing about coverage maps is that I'm able to overlap 2 stations if I want to see where their overlapping is. I just took 2 stations that would somewhat overlap in 2 different markets, and it's really easy to just take the information, overlap it. I can actually outline the coverage areas that those stations cover. I've defined my market areas in different shading. Here's what it's going to look like when it prints out. You're going to be able to get a printout. If you have a color printer, it'll print out right to a color printer. And then it also gives us a legend. The legend is really nice because it kind of gives us the overview of what we selected for our coverage map. That is Media Access Pro at a glance. I hope you like it.